Right, so we're looking at, good girl, we're starting to look at directions, handling, left, right and go back with this little puppy here, okay, heel. Now, on a lead, for obvious reasons, I don't want her to get distracted. I don't want her to heel, sit. I don't want her to basically switch off and start sticking her nose down for no reason. But another reason for this is potentially she may not be steady as we like. When we're throwing dummies and balls and all of that kind of stuff, doing our steadiness training, it's a lot easier if the items are in front of the dog. So if we start throwing items over the dog really rapidly learns, you ain't going to be able to get to me in time. So it instantly turns around and goes and gets it. So to make sure that the dog is steady, keep a lead on like so. So sit there, stay there, wait. So that just literally pops right behind her head there. Okay, not ideal because that's landed right in the middle of that thicket bush, but she's seen it. She knows exactly where that is. All right, stay there. Okay, we want it important to keep this distance from the dog and the retrieve quite short because we don't want to set the dog up to fail. So basically at this stage, we want the scenario to be when the dog turns round, it's almost stepping on it. It's almost tripping over it. We've got to make it that easy. All right. Now, I'm starting off doing this in an open field just to see the outcome. Okay. I don't know what she's going to do. All right. Stay there. So for enable her to move away from me, I'm going to need to take the lead off anyway. Stay there. And again, I'm not going to walk back half a mile because every pace I walk, I'm going to lose control over her. Wait for her to look at me again. Good girl. Go back. And away she goes, right? So the very first process, good girl. Very first process, come on sweet, good girl, good girl, teaching the dog how to go back. Now, if a dog is struggling and not turning back as effectively as you want, Blossom, come here mate. Hence why we put a lead on a dog, okay? Because without the lead, we risk them naturally, because they're young and inquisitive, purely just getting distracted and walking off away from us. So if the dog is struggling, i.e. it's not turning instantly back round and following a sort of line that we would like it to do, we can use a tunnel, we can use a channel, we can use a lane. If you're lucky enough to have access to a field, get on your mower and mow some lanes in the field, lines, because we want that visual tunnel for the dog to run down. And it helps the dog massively having a visual aid. And that also helps them when you're casting out and all of that kind of stuff. But if you're not lucky enough to have that facility, find a hedge, find something. The side of your house, the side alleyway of your house, sit your dog up, throw it behind the head on a lead, step back, blah, 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 and then cast your dog back. So the dog doesn't have anywhere else to go. It's got no alternative but to go back, and then lo and behold, it trips over it. Oh, here it is, and then brings it back to you. But what we can do is use a hedge, okay? So simple, simple, simple. And what we're doing also here is integrating a memory. So, Blossom, sit. Good girl. So out it goes. Like that. Good girl. I'm going to take her away as we normally would in a memory. But this time, instead of taking her back to me, sit, and then casting her back for it, I'm going to leave her here. Stay there. Stay there. Good girl. I'm going to leave her there. Okay. I'm never going to turn my back on this dog, because if she does think about breaking, I can interfere. And the same process here. Wait for her to look at me. Come back. And away she goes. And we're using that hedge as a visual sort of barrier, a visual sort of block. Come on in, you. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good. A visual barrier, a visual block. Now, she sat there. I will give it 6 seconds for her to become distracted. So the lead always has to go on. There's nothing wrong with just chucking a slip lead over your dog's neck to alleviate any issues or any problems. So while we're at this hedge, we're going to look at left and rights as well. Always have a heel, mate. Always have a visual wall or barrier or something behind the dog. Sit there, stay there, so that we can potentially funnel the dog down to either a left or a right. Stay there. Now, as you can appreciate, If I tossed that there like so, I'm risking her breaking to go and get it and me not being quick enough to intervene that process. So I'm going to use myself as a deterrent and just drop that there. Stay there. Obviously, you've got to have an element of steadiness. Now I'm going to walk back around here. Get out. And I'm just going to stick my right arm out. Nice and high, nice and wide. Good girl. So that what we're doing is, although she can see me, good girl. Although she can see me and she can see what I'm doing, I'm still giving it a prominent sign. Because if she's 100 yards out next year, and I go, she's not going to see it. So right from the very offset, I'm giving her a really determined, prominent hand signal, a hand gesture, so that she learns, and obviously to her, it's not a left or a right. To her, it's I will go the way that the arm is pointing. Heel, and sit there. Good girl. But we need to make it as easy for her as possible. Now, because she didn't break then, I'm going to trust her a little bit, and I'm not going to walk over to here, all right? Because I want her to see the bird in flight, like so. Stay there. Giving her a reminder, and then I'm walking back, because picture the scene. In 6 months' time, she's going to be far, far away from me, but in front of me. Wait for her to look at me again, and get out. Good girl. Now, moving on, what I would do, go on in you, good girl. What I would do is when she sat there, I would remind her, come on in, good girl. Good girl. Dead. Good girl. I would remind her what the stop whistle is. Because moving forward, what I want her to realise and want her to learn is every time I have heard that stop whistle, one of two things is going to happen. First one, I'm going to stop and sit, but I'm already sitting and I've already stopped, so that doesn't apply for this. But the second one is something is coming. A job for me to do is coming. Every time I've heard that stop whistle, it means that whoever is going to handle me, as in the dog. So I'm going to remind her actually the importance and the positivity and the benefit of what that stop whistle actually means. Good girl. So first, very, very initial look at kind of directional bits and bobs, but make it easy. Sit there, sit, good girl. Make it as possibly and as easy as you possibly can. Put a lead on. There's no harm in that. Use a fence or a hedge or a wall. No harm in that. Don't throw it miles away, because when the dog turns, we want the dog to be reassured and gain confidence of, oh, it is here. Then over time, once the dog has learned the skill and become competent in that skill, good girl, then extend the distance between the dog and the dummy, and then extend the distance between the dog and yourself. Stay there. So, bit of direction, stay there. And we always end up on something good, something nice, something fun. Blossom. So I'm not interfering with this. I want her to have the confidence to stay out there. I don't want her to give up, and I want her to realise the trust in me. Good girl. Bit of vocal encouragement there when she's found it. Come on in, you. Good girl. Come on. Good girl. There you go. Good girl. Good. Good. Not in a rush to snatch it from her. Good girl. And always stroking under the chin, okay? Always stroking under the chin. So we're promoting naturally just lifting the head all the time. Good girl. You're all right, mate, aren't you? Good girl.